If a mower has self-propel and you're hoping to sell it to make a couple of bucks, shouldn't the self-propel work? The reason I say that is because most mowers with self-propel are quite heavy and they need that bit of help to be able to use them. That brings us to this mower. It starts and runs quite easily. However, if I don't get the self-propel working, I might have to cut the price in half. Otherwise, I won't be able to ask that much for it and end up in the hole on this one. Now in today's video, we're going to be looking at this Toro lawnmower, and the problem is that the self-propel is not working. Now in the last video on this mower, we found out that the transmission was the cause for it not working. So in today's video, we'll be taking a closer look at it and finding out if we can fix it or if we'll have to replace it. Now I'm going to try and repair this lawnmower, but yours might be a little different, so this might not work on yours. So if things are not working out for you, like in the video, please ask about it and I'll be glad to answer your questions. Now, I received quite a lot of comments stating that I should just leave it alone and sell the mower as a push mower. There's just one problem with doing that. This is branded as a Toro personal pace, which by definition is a self-propel mower. Meaning the self-propel feature is what makes this mower what it is. Now to put it in a different way, when you buy an exotic car, I feel as though it should have a special engine in it and not something you can find on an everyday car. I know that's a bit of a reach going from a mower to a car, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. That means I plan on getting the self-propel working even if I have to replace the transmission on it. Of course, this project is mine, but if you're going to go through something like this, then do what you feel is necessary. Now before I get too far into this project, I'm going to drain out all the fluids from this engine. The reason I'm doing this is because I might have to put the mower upside down to work on it, and if I do, I don't want oil and gasoline going places where it shouldn't be. Of course, you don't have to do this step, but don't blame me if you make a huge mess. Now, I really should have started the engine and let it run until it stopped. That way the fuel system would have been empty and the oil would have been hot, making for a good drain. However, I don't have the luxury of time at the moment. Now, as you can tell, this oil is very cold, so it's taking its time making its way out of the engine. Although this is not an ideal way of doing an oil change, it's still better than never changing the oil, which is a pretty quick way to shorten the lifespan of an engine. Now, this is when things start to get a bit complicated. To have enough room to work on the transmission, we're going to have to take off a lot of parts. Of course, I'm doing it more to make filming what I'm doing a bit easier as well, so if you want to try it without taking all these parts off, then be my guest. I'm also going to take off the belt guard from the mower, that way we can inspect the belt for any damage and also make working on the transmission just a bit easier as well. Also, just be aware that there are a lot of fasteners helping to hold the rear baffle in place, so don't be surprised if you end up taking off a lot more than you're really comfortable doing. In fact, I ended up taking off almost all the fasteners for the handlebar mount, only because I wasn't sure if I was going to completely remove the transmission. I would also recommend that you find a way to organize all the nuts and bolts you take off, otherwise you might get confused as to which fasteners go where. Once all the nuts and bolts are finally off the baffle, we can now get it out of the way and then focus on the transmission. So here's the pulley on top of the transmission, and as you can see, it's moving a lot more than it's supposed to. In fact, it should not be moving independently from the rest of the transmission. Now after disconnecting the drive cable, I'm going to do it the easy way, which is to just remove the body of the transmission from the shaft. So as you just saw, the pulley came loose from the top of the housing, and that's because the bearing came apart. That's the reason why the inside of the transmission is filled with dirt, and because of that, this has to be the worst looking transmission I've ever worked on. Now since the ball bearing came apart, there's no point in trying to repair it, so the next best choice would be to just replace it. However, I don't have a good way to remove the inner and outer rings of the old bearing, so replacing it is going to be a bit tough to do and could take a lot of time. So after seeing all this damage, how do I plan on fixing the self-propel then? Now, at the time of this repair, a new transmission was well over $100. However, now that it's not summer anymore, the price is now half that amount. But at that time, I was not willing to spend $100 to fix it, so instead my plans are to use the parts from another broken transmission to fix this one. Now, it's very fortunate that the spare transmission that I have really isn't in that bad of condition when compared to the other transmission. As you can see, the shaft for the pulley spins nicely, and it doesn't have a lot of play in it either. But you can also see that the drive axle is a bit loose and has the unfortunate ability to wobble in the housing. This is the reason why this transmission was removed in the first place. The worn out bushings were causing the gears to make intermittent contact, and that would cause the drive wheels to sometimes not work. Luckily, the bushings on the original transmission are in much better shape, and I plan on using them in this housing. Now, after taking off the plate, you can see that the gears in the donor transmission are in really good shape. However, using them won't be easy, and I'll explain more about it here in a bit. So if you want to see just how bad these bushings can get, all we have to do is take one of these out and you'll get a good idea. As you can see, the wear on it is very lopsided, and that's the reason why this one had to be replaced. There is one nasty fact about this particular transmission that I haven't explained just yet, but when we get there to it, I'll then let you know about it. Of course, if I had the right tools to take off the leftover parts of the old bearing, I would just replace the bearing for only a couple of dollars. Now that is coming from someone with a fair amount of tools that most consumers would never need, so I don't feel too bad about skipping this part. Now I will have to take apart the pulley from the original transmission and then install it in the other shaft after putting it through the other bearing. Just don't forget to install the spacer from the old one, otherwise you won't be able to tighten the pulley onto the shaft. Now, I probably should have used a ratchet on the larger socket because I didn't realize that the housing was going to spin like that. So here's the secret I've been keeping from you about this part's transmission. So this particular transmission is from a front-wheel drive unit and not a rear-wheel drive one, but how is that an issue? So it's a bit hard to tell, but as you can see, the larger gear on the shaft is facing the wrong direction in comparison to the original one, and unfortunately, I don't have a good safe way of correcting this. I would also need to use a press, which interestingly enough, I do happen to have one, but I would also need to find a way to hold the shaft without bending it. So my only real choice is to clean up the original gear the best I can and hope that it's not too worn out to work with the other gear. So after applying some extra lube to the bushings and then thoroughly cleaning the housing, I then filled it with some grease. Next, I'm going to install the housing to the axle, making sure that the bushings are facing the right way. Don't worry, they'll only go into the housing one way, so there's no chance of getting this wrong. I also added even more grease to the cover, that way there'll be plenty of grease and it should keep all the moving parts well lubricated. So after getting the cover back on and giving the pulley a couple of spins, it looks like it's going to work out well, even with one gear having some wear on it, but we won't know for sure until we get the mower back on the ground for a test start. So I'm not really sure if I have to do this, but I'm going to remove the belt from the mower because I think it's going to make installing the transmission a lot easier. However, you're welcome to try it without taking the belt off, but there's a good chance you're going to have a headache with it on. So if you do take the belt off, be very careful because these bolts that secure the engine have a tendency to break if you're not careful. Of course, you can take them off however you please, but I will let you know repairing these broken bolts is a huge pain. Now with the belt off the drive pulley, it's now given me a lot more options when installing the belt and the bracket for the transmission. Now I'm sure you could probably work around the bracket, but after looking at how I had to have the transmission oriented, I think I made the right choice. Now after inspecting the belt, it wasn't in terrible condition, but this would have been a great time to replace the belt. But since you're able to adjust the cable tension for the drive on this model, I should be able to make up for any wear that this belt has. This would also be a great time if you needed to replace the drive cable. However, during our testing, it didn't look as though this cable was having any sort of issues though. Also, be aware that the belt guard not only protects the belt, but also keeps it from falling off the pulley. So leaving it off the mower would not be a good idea, otherwise you might have some belt problems. Now, I did service the ratcheting part on the drive gears at the ends of the axles, however to save time, I'm not going to show it. The ratcheting part helps to make the mower easier to use when dealing with a rear-wheel drive self-propel, and over time it does need to be serviced. So if you need to see a video on doing that, just let me know in the comments and I'll direct you to a video where I show you just how to do that. Now to be completely honest, this was a lot of work and it took me a couple of hours on a couple of different days to fix it. And after editing all the footage, I really wish I had just ordered a new transmission instead because I would have saved a lot of time doing it that way. Now that's saying quite a lot considering at the time the transmission was very expensive, so even if I couldn't get my money back on it, saving all that time would have made it a better deal. So yes, I would have lost quite a bit of money on it, but I wouldn't have lost all that valuable time which I can never get back. So as you can see, after having serviced the ratchet on the drive gears, it's now much easier to spin the wheel as compared to before. The last couple of items left to do is to add the correct amount of oil to the engine and making sure that I don't overfill it. Then pour some stabilized gasoline to the fuel tank and then replace the air filter. After that, I can get the mower off the table and back onto the ground for a test start, and hopefully we'll see if the self-propel is working like it should be. So it seems like the self-propel is working just fine, which is great news. All we need to do now is to make sure that it'll start while the engine is still hot. So it looks like our gamble paid off because there was no guarantee that what I was going to do had a chance of working at all. However, because I'm such a cheapskate, I was willing to invest my time into trying to fix it, and luckily this time it worked out great. So would I recommend that you do what I did in this video to fix the transmission? Nope, not at all. My recommendation would have been to just replace the transmission instead and to not waste your time doing what I did. It would have been a much better use of my time and money because, let's be honest, I took way too many chances on this one. Now the bigger question is, how long is my fix going to last? And the answer is, I don't know, but I'm going to use it for quite a bit just to make sure that I know it's going to work well. But as usual, I do not typically give any guarantees and everything is sold as is. So my question is, would you have gone through all the work I did, or would you have just taken my recommendation instead and just bought a new transmission? Now, if your goal is to make some money, do what I did, but you do risk losing it all if it doesn't work out. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.